Greetings, my dudes and dudettes and fellow savages. We're back on the stream. Topic. The title today is No Escape, Few Survive, which is pretty grim. I'll admit to that. But that is my actual working assumption at this point, is that it's going to be really, really hard to get through this. And the reason why I picked that title is because I'm starting to notice, finally, it's been a few years, but it's finally starting to happen, that people are beginning to suspect that their world is in a bad way, falling apart around them. And the way that gets expressed in the U.S., we have kind of a subculture here, in particular in the U.S., called emergency preparation, or sometimes shortened to prepping. And you'll find YouTube channels, books, radio networks devoted to this idea of prepping. Most of it is among the highly religious. For some reason, I guess they're conflating the Book of Revelations and the Rapture and their perceptions of violence in the cities and things like that, as meaning that they're going to have to hunker down in their farmland with their AR-15 and their Rottweiler and defend the homestead against, well, what 150 years ago was attacks by Native Americans, or as we were called then, Indian attacks. So we have that tradition. It goes way back. Goes back to the Indian Wars. And also goes back to slavery. People were really afraid that by liberating the blacks from slavery, that they would retaliate and come looking for their masters. And of course, none of that materialized. No one really wanted that. They just didn't want to be forced to work on the cotton fields, right? So, yeah, there was all these fears among the religious and all these fears among the South, and it never went away, and they never got over it. So they created prepping, and the whole idea of prepping is it's palliative. It's supposed to make you feel better about your situation, which isn't your situation, by the way, because it never happens. The disaster never comes, but there's all these anxieties that they share among themselves, and they want to feel better about their anxiety. So, fine, whatever, it works. But lately, I've been noticing some discussion among people who are trying to cope with the obvious increase in global heating, and who are noticing also that we are not reducing our fossil fuel consumption, and that we are not reducing our carbon emissions, and we're not doing any of the things that we're supposed to be doing. So there's a lot of anxiety is beginning to mount. And so there's now a broader community, not just the religious community who's waiting for the end of the world on biblical grounds, but there's a much larger community now that's kind of anticipating the end of the world, meaning whatever, right? No one really knows, because of global heating and a series of natural disasters. And that's playing out. It is playing out here in the U.S. I can't say what's happening in other countries. I don't have visibility. But here in the U.S., it's playing out. So people are noticing, okay, not as dumb as I thought. Fine, they're noticing. And they're noticing, and they're kind of asking, so what should I do? What should I do? And the U.S. also has another culture about responding to disasters. Let me pick one. Hurricanes, okay? Hurricanes are disasters that we can prepare for. Literally, you might want to do that, right? If you're a business in a coastal city, when there's a hurricane coming, it's not a bad idea to protect your business. So what do? You nail plywood over the windows and put sandbags around the doors and things like that. It just makes sense to do that. That's not even apocalyptic. That's just like, well, there's a storm coming. I guess I better protect my business or I'll have damages. And it won't be in business. So there's a lot of culturation around responding to disasters and being proactive. Now, the big disaster, the big kahuna here, is global heating and the resulting climate change. So You can be in denial about that, and you can imagine that's not going to happen. And then it's going to happen anyway because physics, right? You can't escape physics. No one's escaping physics. And so when these new people, right, they're new to this whole prepping, emergency preparedness thing. They're new, so they're coming into this marketplace. They're coming into this crowd, and they're not really sure what to do. So a lot of the discussion about how to prepare for global heating and climate change, we've got to prepare for this, right? We know it's coming, time to prepare. Is like if you were preparing for a hurricane or you were preparing for an earthquake, right? Earthquake preparedness here in California, we're told all the time, prepare for earthquakes. If you're not preparing for earthquakes, then you're a dummy. So yeah, we could prepare for earthquakes. And what do? They tell us you need to store 1 gallon of water per person in your household for as many days as you think you're going to be without water. So if you're a family of 4, that's 4 gallons a day. And if you think you're going to be without water for 3 days, then you'll want to store up 12 gallons of water. And then you'll be probably okay. So you do those calculations and you lay up 12 gallons of water and you think, okay, I feel better. Phew, I've done something. Okay, but that, again, as with the rapture people and the Armageddon people and the zombie apocalypse people and the urban violence people and the rise of communism people and now the climate change people, the disaster we're looking at here is nothing like any of that. It's nothing like that. You don't prepare for global heating by laying up 12 gallons of water. You might prepare for global heating by laying up 12,000 gallons. That's a good start. Yeah, that might actually make some sense. 12,000 gallons of water. Yeah, I can see that for your global heating problems. And then to really be resilient, you'd want to have some sort of rainfall, a rain collection system, and then some filtration system for your rainwater, because rainwater, although it falls from the sky relatively clean, once it hits roof surfaces and trees, things like that, it picks up pollutants, which are some really bad things. So you have to filter it if you're going to drink it. And so you have to have 12,000 gallons rain collection, rain filtration, and then pumping systems to get the water out of your cistern. And so that's just water. That's just the water. And yeah, 12,000 gallons might be okay for a family of 4. Yeah, that would give you 1,000 days, right? 1,000 days. 1,000 days sounds like a lot. 1,000 days is like 3 years. Okay? That's why I'm like, well, maybe that's okay. 3 years of water and storage, plus you're going to collect rainwater and filter it and make it available. Okay, yeah. 3 years in storage and plus you're collecting. Yeah, you're probably going to be okay. Mostly. Not your neighbors, but your family of 4, you'll probably be okay. And why do I say it that way? Why is it a jump from 12 gallons of water you want to collect in case of an earthquake or a hurricane versus 12,000 gallons if you're worried about global climate change? And the reason is because global heating never goes away. It never goes away. That's one thing. It just never goes away. It only gets worse. It gets worse forever. Certainly for your entire life, my entire life, their entire life. It just gets worse forever. And then it outlives us. And our children and grandchildren are born into a system that also continues to get worse through their lives. So this is a forever thing. And how do you prepare for a forever thing? Well, there is a preparation, by the way, but it's not what you think. It's not laying up 12 gallons of water for your family of 4. That's obvious, right? That's obvious. If you get to a point where your region has run out of water because of global heating, which is going to be a story everywhere, everybody is going to have to deal with that. You're going to run out of water because of global heating. Or you're going to have too much water, but it's going to be the wrong kind of water. It's going to be polluted. It's going to be flood water flooding through your garage. And then it runs away. It goes off to sea again. And it's no good to you. Plus, it probably contaminated your well. And then you really do run out of water. You go from having floods flooding through your garage and dragging your car out into the street. And then your well on your property is contaminated from the flood waters and you can't drink it. So you have no water. Wow. So now your 12 gallons looks pretty good, except you need, oh, hell, you needed 12,000 gallons. Because how long is it going to take you to fix your well? I don't know. Do you have to drill a new one? I don't know how this works. The problem with global heating is it's different. It's on a different scale. And not only is it going to affect you for your entire life, and probably the entire lives of everyone who comes after you, not only is that going to be going on, but there's not going to be any escape to any other region that's not so affected. You know, it's possible if we had a big earthquake in San Francisco again, right? That's probably going to happen. And the water system broke and the food deliveries broke down and there was, no first responders and there was chaos in the streets and, people are helping each other, of course, but still there's no law, no governance, no food chains, supply chains, no food supply chains, no medicine supply chains. Everything kind of breaks down. And even if people have as good an attitude as they can have, they're still stressed. They're still in trouble. So let's say that happens in San Francisco and everything goes south. Everything just falls apart. Place catches on fire. Everything falls down. Don't know what they're going to do. Well, surrounding regions are still intact. Oakland, right across the bay might be fine. The North Bay, the South Bay, San Jose, where I am. There's 2 million people live down here. We have lots of food, lots of hospitals. We can send supplies to San Francisco. They're kind of going to be okay. But there's this thing we're calling global heating. And what can we say about global heating apart from it being hot, which it will be? It is, wait for it, global. So not only will it affect you personally for years and decades and maybe a century, it's going to affect all the regions around you. Wife just got back. What is she doing? She's waving at me. It's going to affect everyone around you. So this is meant to be a short video. My wife is back and I have other things to do anyway. But I just want to address this meme that's now starting to float out into the community, that you just have to lay up water, lay up some food, right? Make sure you have your papers in order, as if this was just an earthquake or a hurricane or a personal tragedy that you're going to have to get through. This is going to lead to the collapse of civilization. Some places before others, some places worse than others, but eventually, it all falls apart, and it's going to fall apart globally. So where are you supposed to go? Who are you supposed to be with? What materials do you have to supply for yourself, and for how long? And the answer is, I can't tell you where you're supposed to be. It kind of depends on where you are. I don't know who you're supposed to be with. Maybe your family, and as for how long? Oh, centuries. This will last for centuries. 100,000 years. Global heating, it's assumed that we can stop it at some point, meaning it doesn't continue to get worse. We just stop it because that's all you can do. You can't reverse it. Oh, but we'll innovate. No, the fuck you won't. Maybe you plateau it at some point. Well, whatever it plateaus at, it stays there for 100,000 years. Whatever that temperature is, whatever the harm it's doing to your region, whatever the rainfall patterns become, whatever the amount of hurricanes or tornadoes or floods or anything else you get, well, that's going to be the story for 100,000 years. Because global heating only changes, at least on the downside, over geologic time. There's not going to be anything like, oh, well, we'll just do something different. We'll just, and it'll all be fine. It'll all be better, and then we'll go back to normal. And you never will. You never will. And this is not the discussion anyone is having right now. No one's having this discussion that this is going to be essentially forever. Humans have only been on this planet for like 300,000 years. We've only been speaking and doing cave art, as far as anybody knows, for about 50,000 of those years, right? Something happened, and all of a sudden we could talk, from what we can tell. And so the calamity that we're facing will last probably at least 100,000 years, longer than humans have been speaking to each other. So what are you supposed to do? How are you going to survive this? Well, there's no escaping it, first of all. It's global. Yeah, maybe you can go to Mars with Elon Musk, but that's going to have its own set of problems, right? So that's not escape. That's not really escape. That's just going into a different situation. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And I think most people won't survive. They just won't. There's 8,000 million humans on this earth, and they're all supported by the way things are. and the way things are includes enormous infrastructure projects, enormous complicated supply chains for food and medicine and water and everything else, and huge economic engines for paying people so they can buy things, so they can manufacture things, so they can transport them, and all this kind of stuff. And then, it just kind of all falls apart. I wrote the book. Link in the descriptions. You should check it out. I wrote it because I want you to start thinking about these questions. And the thing you can do, the way you can escape this, try, no guarantees. And the way you can try not to die, again, no guarantees, but you can try this, you can try it. Good luck, but try it, is to reinvent around you and around your community, which is where you live. Not online, I'm talking about physically. Village life. You have to recreate village life. Because while individual humans can't figure this out, doesn't matter how smart you are. I'm pretty smart. I wrote the book. I know all about this. I can't figure this out by myself. And in the book, no one is figuring this out by themselves. The book is about what you have to do. And what you have to do is you have to build, rebuild, relearn, reestablish village life. And then you're working together. And you're raising your children together, and you're tending to your elders together, and you're reinventing education, medicine, right? Healing and healthcare. You're creating a secure environment. Maybe you're putting up fences. If you have animals, you're having to deal with animal husbandry, feeding your animals, basic veterinary care, whatever has to happen. And you recreate village life. And all of you together, you'll have the labor, you'll have diverse skill sets among the many, and maybe you'll have 50 people in your village, maybe you'll have 250. But the better you can create that village, and the more skills and the more production you can extract from each other, the more likely that you will survive. So you're not going to escape into the mountains. You're not going to escape onto a private yacht. You're not going to escape to Mars. You're not going to have a rapture and escape to heaven. You're not going to do any of these things. You're going to escape inwards into village life. And then, whoever is inside of the village, protected by walls or fences or something, whoever is inside the village survives. And nobody else does. Who is that? Who gets to be in villages? Who gets to be in village life? Well, today, from where I'm sitting and what's going on around me right now, nobody. Nobody gets to be. There's no such thing. So we have some work to do. The book is about the work. The book is about how to survive, how to create a village that you can escape into. The book is called It Was 100 Days, available on Amazon, ebook, paperback, and hardcover. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's pretty nice. I got some feedback that the cover is depressing, but I think that's only the case for people who understand that, yeah, we're kind of fucked. And it's really hard to face that. But I don't think that's an excuse. I faced it. I wrote the book. So I'm dealing with it. And if I can deal with it, you can deal with it. And you're going to have to. You're going to have to deal with it. I'm sorry. There's no escape except into village life. There's no escape except to go forward like good soldiers, like we have to do, in a community with trust and cooperation and pulling together and setting aside your differences and setting aside your fears and paranoias and just working together and creating as firm and secure perimeter as you can, and protect your children and protect your wildlife and protect each other and your crops and your stored foods and village life. What's that going to look like? I don't really know. I describe it in the book as it develops from people who never knew such a thing, and they just kind of build it as they can, and they come up with something, it works, and they're happy with it, and they do that work in 100 days, hence the title of the book. And it's a start, it's a thought. And and when people are telling you, well, prepare for disaster, have 12 gallons of water for your family of 4. It's like, yeah, you could do that, and that's not a bad thing to do, and maybe it's good practice, but we have much, much bigger nut to crack here, folks. And I don't think most people who are even beginning to look at this have any clear comprehension of the magnitude of the task. The task is incomprehensible to most people. I can kind of comprehend it because I sort of recognize the challenge. I recognize what's going to happen to us and where we're headed. But I don't know. Am I the only one? Maybe. My prediction is that in the event of a massive collapse due to global heating and other supply chain problems, whatnot, in the event of a massive collapse, 999 people out of 1,000 aren't going to make it. Their dependencies simply won't be met. And when your dependencies that you need to meet every single day are food, water, shelter, and of course electricity and security and medicine, the other things, education, schools, whatever you want to call it, then if you can't meet those needs, then you don't have a story. You just don't have a story. And how long do you have to live? I don't know. A week? 2? My admonition when I do these videos is don't die. And that's what I'm referring to. Don't be in the 999 out of 1,000 that are not going to make it. And obviously, the odds are against all of us. If that's the scenario, that nearly everybody doesn't make it, then the prospects are not good. So, buy the book, read the book, get past the difficulties, get past the grimness of it, grapple with it, deal with it, because it's coming. It's not only coming, it's here. And depending on who you're talking to, it's time to start prepping. But you have to really think about what that is. And it doesn't mean an AR-15 and a Doberman and 4 gallons of water and 100 meals ready to eat. That is not what we're talking about. And I can't even think of a single thing you would need, except maybe 20,000 gallons of water. That's a good start. But you need land. You need villagers. You need people to help you when you're down, and when you can help when they're down. And you need cooperation and community, and you need to be able to support each other and pray together. All of the above, right? Help each other raise your children, birth babies, and get through the hard times. And that's village life. And then maybe you and your villagers are counted among the 1 in 1,000. Maybe. Or maybe nobody does this. Maybe nobody can. Nobody can figure it out. And then maybe that's it. Well, I guess we're done. Well, I did my part, people. And here I am doing my part. Whatever this is. What do you want to call this? What am I doing here? I have a basement to finish. So I guess I'll go do that. Your assignment is to read the book. Yeah. That's what I got. Time to get back to work. Don't die.